Hey guys, Jemmy here, and today we're going to be looking at the Sunken Temple of Qarn. This temple this dungeon is available to you at level 35 and sinks off at level 37. It consists of a 4-member party, usually 1 tank, 2 DPS, and 1 healer if you go via the duty finder. Of course, like I just said, you could access it through the duty finder, or you could simply just go to the entrance of the dungeon itself, and the nearest teleporter for that will be Little Almigo. So you could just teleport there and simply walk to the entrance itself, or ride a chocobo, whichever. Once you're within the dungeon, you want to head up the stairs, defeat the mobs, and take a look at this rock that I'm on right now, and take a look at the pictures very closely. If you need to pause it right there and enlarge it to take a look at the pictures, then that's fine, because I think it remains the same. So you want to know what the pictures on there are, so that later on you can access the final boss and get some additional chests that are available. Also to note that I know that these Final Fantasy videos are coming out of order a little bit, so it's not, as they would go in order of what you're leveling, but I'm just trying to get these up, so I guess I am kind of backtracking in a way. I pre-recorded these a while back, but just never really got around to uploading them, so I'm just trying to play catch up on that. So yeah. But as for this dungeon, as you're making your way, you'll start noticing tablets, like you see the one in front of us called the Helm of Might. What you have to do is, of course, once you defeat those mobs, just someone go ahead and collect it. It doesn't matter who collects it, because it'll be, kind of like a group thing, so it's not something that only one person will have. It's just like the dungeon. It's for the dungeon, basically. Now in front of us, you'll notice a temple bee. If you see any of these bees during the dungeon, you definitely want to focus on these guys before any other ad, because the bees will actually do a skill called Final Sting. It's kind of like when the bombs blow up and kind of suicide themselves. It's kind of like the same concept. So when the bees do the Final Sting, they die as well, taking you with them. Probably the only person that might be able to survive is a tank with a smidge of life, or other people, but usually it's on a happenstance rather than, all the time that you're going to be left with life. Now I know I just got through saying that if you see a temple bee, that should be your first priority, but this is the, I guess, only exception. There is a Qarn facer that you'll meet next to a temple bee. You want to focus on the facer because he will drop the loot. Now the facer, if you don't get him in the beginning because he runs away, because this guy runs away, he will eventually, or you will eventually meet up with the same facer in other locations, so you don't have to defeat him if you don't want to in the beginning. If you want to focus on temple bee first, that's absolutely fine, but if you, just letting you guys know that if you defeat the facer, you will actually get a coffer. So after you collect the coffer or defeat the facer, then you could focus your attention back on the temple bee and defeat it before it's able to use its final sting. Hopefully your DPS in your group is good enough to do that. Now, as a reminder, I do want to go ahead and let you guys know, depending on whether this is your first time ever being in my channel, or if this is just your first time ever watching these Final Fantasy dungeon walkthrough kind of talking videos, any of the loot that drops in any of these dungeons, I'm going to go ahead and screenshot them and put them up on my blog. The convenient link to my blog is going to be in the description box below for you to simply click on, or it should be up on my banner or near the About tab. So if you want to go ahead and head over there and just simply click on it, then that's absolutely fine. They're not going to be full loot listings of every single possible loot that you could possibly get, but just the ones that I've seen through my runs. So we finally reached the first boss that you will encounter in the Sunken Temple, which is the Pterosaur. Now there are 3 panels on the ground. If you notice, there is one right next to the boss. You could call that the northern panel, and there is one to the east, and then there's one that I'm standing on right now that is most close to the entrance that you just came in from, which is the south. Now, there are ads that spawn during this time called the dung wisps, whatever. But they're bees, basically. So they do exactly the same thing as those temple bees. They just have a different name. So they still use the skill called Final Sting. So this is where it gets a little bit difficult. If, you know, you happen to get a Final Sting on you and you die, then it's a lot harder for your group to try to recuperate from that, and then your healer try to raise you. Now, there are a couple of things that you have to know for this boss that are critical. Of course, if you see any red ball indicator circle, you just simply want to avoid that. Now, the other key part, which is the most important, I think, in my opinion, is basically the Doom debuff, or basically kind of poison. Now, the boss will do a skill that puts Doom on you. Now, if you look at my character right on top, you will see that there is a Doom. It's basically gonna be, I guess, a little above and to the right. So you'll see when the Doom comes about. Now, when that Doom is on you, the timer, no, it's on the screen right now. If you take a look, it's counting down 9, 8, 7, 6, just like that. So it's gonna count down. So within that time, you have to go to one of these glowing panels that will light up to basically shed that poison off you. If you do not, then you will just simply die. Also, a bad thing. So as you see, the Doom just got on, and then you just go to one of those glowing panels and the Doom will shed right off. And then you can move anywhere about, but for me, I just feel safer if I'm on a panel. So if I see a glowing panel, whether I have Doom or not, I'm gonna stand on it just in case. But that is just my tactic and what is comfortable for me. Now, for you guys, if you got the Doom, you went to one of those glowing panels and were able to shed the Doom, then you could definitely move about, do whatever you need, especially if you are playing a, melee class where you actually really need to be close and up front. Of course, when these ads come out, you definitely want to take them down as quick as possible. There will only be 2 that spawns at a time, so you go ahead and quickly take care of them before they are able to do any damage to your party. And that way you can return back to this boss, because this is not a boss that you want to be fighting for a long time, because eventually someone will mess up and someone will make a mistake and someone will die from Doom because they totally forgot to shed it or whatever. So after you defeat the first boss, you'll be awarded 1 treasure coffer, and then you can simply, roll on the whatever loot it is, go through the doors and head downstairs, heading deeper within the Sunken Temple. At the bottom of the stairs, there will be another mechanism. There will be kind of like the same thing as the Qarn Facer. However, it's a little bit bigger, I think, but it has a different name. So it's called Avoid-a-Poise. Avoid-a-Poise? Something like that. Anyways, so what you're supposed to do is basically the tank will gain aggro on it, or whoever has aggro on it, basically put it over this panel. So if you see the panel right underneath it, so it's kind of like a stone, putting a rock on top of a stone that opens a door. So once it dies, it lies down, it puts pressure on the panel to open the doors. So that's the mechanism that you want to do. In the second room, right as the doors open, there are 2 of those facers again, or the avoid applause, something like that. So what you're going to do is the same objective. You want to get the aggro, or whoever has aggro, just put it on, make it sit on the panel and kill it on the panel. Now, if you happen to miss and too much DPS was on it and it just died, don't worry and don't freak out, because there'll be another one that spawns. So just simply take care of the second one and make sure that one's at least on a panel, and then during that time another one will spawn. So see, you see another one just spawn now. And it seems to have aggroed on me, which is great, because then I could just put it on top of the panel, however shifting from me and my pet, so that's kind of bad. In this case, I should have probably taken away my pet, but it seems that aggro is just jumping around everywhere. So in any case, whoever has aggro, it really doesn't do as much damage as you think. So basically, don't run away from it expecting the tank to pull aggro off it. Just make it stand on the panel. That's the best thing to do, in my opinion. Of course, there's many ways to do these dungeons, so you don't always have to follow what I do. Just take this as, you know, your peek or insight to the Sunken Temple before you actually do it, and then that way you could kind of make your own idea or plan about how you want to go about it. So that's basically what these videos are kind of are about. And here's another one. We gained the might, the helmet of might, the gem of affluence, and we got the fruit of, I believe, I don't know, I just saw it, fruit of knowledge. There you go. And on the other side will contain the last tablet, which is the flame of magic that you need to get. Despite the fact that these dungeons are generally long in nature, I mean, these dungeons take about like more than 30 minutes depending on what kind of level you went in, and it will always take about that amount considering that there's a level sync. There is no way that you could be more powerful than 37 because technically, you know, your gear actually syncs off as well. So if you go in with level 50 gear into a 37 dungeon sync dungeon, did I just say that? Yes, I did. But yeah, if you go into a level 37 dungeon, which is the sync level, it will actually sync your level 50 armor or item level 90 armor down to what's acceptable for that level sync of 37. So you can't beat the system in that, you know, your item is a lot higher than what this dungeon is, because it'll simply negate all that extra stats. So the timing will be about the same. I mean, you could do it a little bit quicker depending on, you know, what your party is made out of, but in general, I'd say that's more than 30 minutes. I mean, like 45, 50-ish. So yeah, so you have to dedicate a lot of time into these dungeons, but at the same time, I feel as though when you're watching these YouTube videos that I try to condense as much as possible, but it kind of gets a little bit boring. So give me some advice as to how you guys want to see these videos, these dungeon videos portrayed. Because of course Final Fantasy is going to continue having patches, they're going to continue having extra dungeons and such. So I want to know what would be interesting for people to watch so that it's viewer friendly, but at the same time, you know, it's fun to watch, not, you know, just a drag where I'm talking for 30 minutes about this, about nothing, and about, oh, defeat this mob and defeat this mob. Even though sometimes defeating specific mobs are very important, usually they're just kind of fillers where you just need to defeat certain things. So yeah, I would love to get your input on this, guys, to help this channel out and to help me out. You know, I will always love feedback, and I always try to reply to every single comment that I get. I might not be at lightning speed, however, I do check every once in a while and then try to reply to everyone, even though they say, you know, hi or something, I reply with hi and all that. So after all that rambling, we finally got to our second boss, which is the Temple Guardian. Now, if you see here, there are two, I guess, life bars. One for the Temple Guardian and the other for the Golem Soulstone. So it's basically kind of like the same idea as when Titan shows its heart. It's the same idea as that. So what you want to do is take down the Soulstone first, and then when the Soulstone is, I guess, depleted or dead or broken for that time being, the Temple Guardian will kneel and kind of stay idle for a bit, giving you a way easier time to stack your dots, place your, you know, area of effect AoEs and dots and stuff. See, we're gonna see here in a minute that Soulstone just went down. The Temple Guardian is kind of idle, kneeling, so it gives you a lot more control of where you want to be positioned to do your maximum damage. Also, another important thing to note about this Temple Guardian is that it sheds aggro. So even though you have the best tank in the Final Fantasy community world, in all the worlds, all the server worlds, they will not be able to hold aggro on the Temple Guardian for a long time. I mean, it might like turn around and focus on him for a second, and then it's going to shed aggro, and then it's going to go to somewhere else. And then it's going to start attacking random people like that. So don't blame your tank if the Temple Guardian is running rampant. That's just what it's designed to do. And it will do AoEs, like Kona's AoEs, you see one right there. You just have to be very aware of these red indicators. And you'll also do the circle indicator as well. Also, if you are playing a summoner like I am right now, the best thing to do is probably have a pet that isn't close range. So instead of using, I guess one would be the tank one. Obviously you wouldn't want to use the tank one because you have a tank. Or Ifrit, because Ifrit kind of is really close. You would want to stick with the blue carbuncle, emerald carbuncle, or you want to stick with Garuda. That's because they're far range, and the Temple Guardian will actually aggro these emerald carbuncles or the Garuda as well, these pets as well. So that might give you an opportunity. Instead of the boss like aggroing to you, it will aggro to your pet. So see, like it aggroed to the emerald carbuncle, as you see right there. So now I don't really have to worry about getting hit, and I can still continue to do my damage. The healer is okay because it didn't get hit. So that is the basic concept of this fight. You want to focus on those soul stones, get it down, and then as quick as you can. That way the Temple Guardian will remain idle, allowing you to burn him down as quick as possible. Also, if you're planning to use a limit breaker, if you have that up, definitely use that while the Temple Guardian is idle as well. This will avoid any kind of mis-targeting, because for the AoE ones, you kind of have to target and place it where you want it to be. But if the Temple Guardian moves around so much, it's going to be a lot harder to try to hit it. So yeah. Once you defeat this boss, you'll be awarded a treasure coffer, and you can simply move on through the dungeon. For this part, you'll notice that there is one of those faces again that you need to get on the panel. And there's also another mob that I'm currently targeted on right now, which, like the crocodiles. If you have a pet like I do, I mean, you could do it my way. Of course, there's so many other ways that you could take care of this situation. But for me, the easiest thing to do is I send my pet to attack the croc, which is the other one, and I focus on the face, so I could help my group, my party, take care of the face and get it on the panel. And meanwhile, my pet is doing damage to the croc. So when the face is dead, the croc won't be at full life. It'll at least have a little bit down, so that's helping in that way. So it's easier for me to do it that way. Of course, there's many other ways to do it. I try to be a lot simpler with my pets. It just makes it a little bit easier for me, so I don't have to scroll through so many things. This is a very important part, these stone pedestals. You need to equip them with the right icons in order to have that door open. So how you know is if you look at the pedestal very closely, you'll notice a marker on them, and that marker coincides with what that is. So if you see here, you see a gem looking thing, you want to put the gem of affluency to open this door, and the other one was the helmet of might. They all contain treasure coffers so that you could, gain some additional loot. Once you go up the stairs, you will see another croc as well as another face that you need to get on a panel. So in essence, it's the exact same thing that you did on the lower floor. There are 2 stone pedestals on each side of this top floor where you have to put tablets into as well to open doors to gain additional coffers. Alright, so the left stone pedestal is going to be the Flame of Magic. And as you see right down there, you see another coffer that someone goes and gets. And then on the right side is going to be the last stone pedestal, which you just need to put the last tablet, which is I think going to be Fruit of Knowledge, right? Yeah, Fruit of Knowledge. And there will be your other coffer. Once you have collected all the coffers, just head down the hallway that just opened up for you. There will be some ads blocking your path there, so you just need to defeat those and move on. Now, if you see a little bit far ahead, you'll notice a stone kind of sticking out from the ground. That is the same as that stone in the very beginning when we started the dungeon that I told you to make full screen to remember. That's exactly the same thing. So the pictures that you saw on that stone in the very beginning is what you want to put on this stone here, the Scale of Judgment. Now there is a left panel and a right panel. So for my left panel we put the Flame of Magic, and on the right panel we put the Fruit of Knowledge, and that's what showed on our rock. I'm not sure if it stays the same every single time or in each dungeon it changes, but after that you want to press the middle. That will open up a little cove where you could get 3 more additional coffers. And once you collect those coffers, you could simply head into the last and final boss room where you will meet the final boss, the Adjudicator. He is a stone man. Now this fight in itself is a little bit confusing to explain, so I hope me explaining it visually, like explaining it while you see it visually, will help a little bit about what's going on here. So of course you want the tank to get aggro first, and while the healer heals. Now, while the Adjudicator is out, there will be some of those faces that come out. See right there, the Sun Jur. What you want to do is kill this Jur on one of these platforms. Now, from my experience and what I was originally told and what I seen, it was supposed to be that you kill 3 statues to stop them from continuing to come out and move on to the next phase. But it seems that it varies a little bit on how. Because see, there was the second one that just came out. You take it to another platform and you would kill it on that platform. If you miss, then it'll just continually spawn, so that's why you have to kill it on the platform itself. I'm not sure if that one counted or not, honestly. But I didn't see another one come out, so we'll have to see in a minute here. So no, another one didn't come out, so that was only 2 for us. So it's a little bit iffy on what that count actually is. But just keep in mind that the goal is to kill them on the platform. And after that, you'll start seeing these mithril verges come out, and they shoot laser beams. The indicator is blue, and that won't hurt you, but that purple laser that shoots out after, that will. So what you want to do is defeat those as quick as possible, because even though the laser beams are kind of slow and you could simply avoid them, as a healer or any other casting class which requires you to stay in one area to do a full cast, you don't really have that time to move, or you really can't move, or you'll have to continually recast something. So as a healer, if you're trying to heal someone and you're constantly moving, then the heal will never go off. So that's why you want to take these down as soon as they come up. So now we are in the second phase. Now what will happen in the third phase is that you see these mithril verges that happen. What they're going to do is that later on you'll see them in a grayish box like that. What DPS needs to do is get in that box, because after a few seconds there will be a field on it that no one can get in or out. So at that time what you want to do is have the DPS defeat that verge as quick as possible. So DPS need to get in, or anyone honestly, and then just kill off that verge, and then the field will go back down. See right here, we have one of these boxes coming up. It kind of really shows you how small of a time you have before the field comes up where you can't get in or out. So I really wasn't that far away, but I wasn't able to make it within the field. Okay, what number phase are we on? 3? I think we're on 3. So on the third phase, there'll be multiple of these mithril verges that come up. Now you just need to watch out where they intersect, where the lasers intersect, so you don't want to be caught in between two laser beams. But thank goodness that these lasers are slow, so what you just need to do is continue on your feet, keep light on your toes, and defeat down these verges, and then return back to the final boss. Next, instead of having just one, there will be 2 mithril verges that spawn at one time, and they will both be in a grayish box and become impenetrable after a couple seconds, like we saw. What you want to have happen is that your DPS split up into covering both sides of the field, and hopefully they're able to make it within the field before it closes off and take these mithril verges down. And then once they're down, just head back to the final boss and finish them off. Yay! So I hope that wasn't as confusing as I thought it was. I hope I kind of explained it in a way that you guys understand. But yeah, after you defeat this final boss, you'll be awarded with treasure coffers, and you could continue and level up and move on to the next more exciting dungeon. Thanks guys for watching, and I hope you found this helpful. And yeah, like I said before, if you guys have any suggestions on how these kind of walkthrough videos would be better presented, then I would love any kind of, I guess, constructive feedback on that, because then, you know, I would love to make things more better. I will always want to improve and make it a lot more enjoyable for you guys, because, you know, it is for you and it's also for me. So it's also to have fun and make good stuff with. So I will see you guys later, and of course, if you enjoyed these videos and you're looking forward to more, and this is your first time on my channel, be sure to click that subscribe button right up top here. You can also find me on other forms of social media, guys, such as Twitter and Facebook, and even more, with all the convenient links listed in the description box below. And oh, don't forget to check out all the loots that dropped in this Sunken Temple dungeon on my blog, and that link again will be in the description as well. So thank you for watching again, and I will catch you later. Bye bye!